Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week of Google Hangouts for Survivors. Tonight, we're talking about the lies that our abuse tells us. But before we start, I want to let you know that sadly, Miss Athena is out and about in Maui rather than here with us quite yet. We're hoping she's going to jump on air at 8:30. But until then, you're stuck with me alone. Also, a big announcement. We are going to declare next week No More Shame November. And that's in honor of our very first No More Shame Project anthology that is coming out on November 17th, Monday, November 17th. Mark your calendars. It will be going live on Amazon on that date and probably a little bit later on Barnes & Noble and other sites that are selling books online. And so to honor that and to raise awareness of childhood sexual abuse, we are going to declare November No More Shame November. There's going to be a blog hop and a lot of special topics, graphics that are available to you in ways that you can just basically spread the word about childhood sexual abuse. 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys are sexually assaulted when they're minors. That's a huge number. But because of the social stigma and the shame and the fact that the topic is so taboo, so many survivors don't talk about what happened. And because of that, they don't get the help they need. So we want to try and break down some of that social stigma, erase some of that shame, and let people get the help they need to live the life that they want to live. So that's important. We'll get you more details about that as soon as we have them for you. Make sure and watch our website, nomoreshameproject.com, and watch us on Twitter. We are at NMS Project. That's our Twitter handle. And I'll show you all of our contact information here in a little bit so that you can follow either the project or Athena or I on Facebook, Twitter, or here on Google+. And we'll also get your email information so you can contact us. I want to make sure that you know before we start that if right now you're in crisis or you're triggered, the absolute best resource that I have for that, that we have for that, and we give it every week in our Twitter chat, is RAIN. They can be reached at 1-800-656-HOPE, HOPE, or they have an awesome chat feature on their website, and you can go to their website, RAIN, RAINN.org, and get live help there through their chat feature. So if you're in crisis, you're triggered, you need help finding a therapist, they are an excellent resource to reach out to, because we're not really equipped to give crisis resource help, but they are, and that's the best place that you can go. So let's talk tonight about the lies that our abuse tells us. And the reason that there are so many lies wrapped up in abuse is because sometimes our abuser tells us lies. Last night we talked about this during our Twitter chat, and the things that people had to say in terms of what their abuser told them so that they would think that the abuse was okay. Children have a way of knowing. They know that they're not supposed to be touched in that way. They know that they're not supposed to be told those things. They know that those things aren't supposed to happen. But their abuser, with their words and their behavior, tells the child that this is okay. For example, I had people say, my father told me that this is the way that fathers love their little girls. Mothers might say, this is because you're special and I'm sharing this just with you. Or this is normal. This is the way everyone is. And because you're young, you don't have a good frame of reference. You don't know that what they're telling you isn't the truth. And furthermore, more often than not, we are reliant upon one of our abusers, especially if it's a mother, a father, a sibling, a close family relative, to keep us safe and to protect us. And so when they tell us things like that, even though somewhere inside us we might know it's not true, if our only other option is to accept the fact that someone who's supposed to love and protect us has betrayed us, almost every single time, a child will choose instead the lie, because the option that they are alone and unsafe in the world is simply too much for their minds to accept. So they'll choose the lie. And sometimes the abuse itself tells us the lie, because we're thinking, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to happen. This is bad, and I can't figure out why. As human beings, we almost have an innate wiring to try and figure out why things happen in our life. You see this over and over and over again in the media, during a tragedy. Why did that happen? Why did my child die? Why were my parents killed? You know, what kind of world would allow that to happen? What kind of people allow that to happen? And we're just wired to try and figure those things out. And so when you're a child, you don't have an adult brain. That prefrontal cortex that we have that operates in logic and reasoning isn't fully developed. And so we have to come up with our own reasons, our own explanations as to why things happen. And when it's a child's logic, sometimes it's wrong. So we think when we're being abused and it doesn't make any sense, that it's because it's our fault. We caused it to happen. We're bad. We've done something to deserve it. And we might see other children being treated nicely, and yet we're treated badly. And their mom and dad tell them that they love them, that they're good. And yet here we are, maybe we're being screamed at by our parents, because it's very, very, very rarely that sexual abuse occurs in a vacuum. Most of the time, sexual abuse within a family occurs along with emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and sometimes incredible neglect. And that neglect can come from a parent who is themselves mentally ill, so they're not fully present to parent. Perhaps they are alcohol or drug addicted. I see this one a lot. Sometimes in a dynamic of, it's a triad. It's a mother, a father, and then the child who's being abused. Sometimes it's either the mother or the father that's drug addicted or alcohol addicted, and so they aren't present there for their child. They might be physically present, but mentally they're not present. They're wrapped up in their addiction. And that leaves the other parent free to abuse the child. So although this other parent isn't technically our abuser, they are an enabler. And so oftentimes you'll see that kind of a dynamic happening in the family, and that child doesn't get told that they're loved. They don't get told that they're cherished. They don't get told that they're good. And so when they aren't told those things, and they see children who are told those things, their minds go, okay, it must be because I'm bad, or I'm doing something wrong, or I deserve this. Even though it is so horribly not true, they don't have anyone telling them the opposite. And so more often than not, that's where their minds go, and that's what they believe. So usually every week we provide you with a one-page sheet of tips and tricks for dealing with the subject that we talk about. Like last week, we talked about when your abuser dies. And we talked about how to handle funerals, how to handle the conflicting grief and anger that might come up, and how you can deal with those things. Well, this week we have some tips for how to deal with the lies that our abuse tells us. Now, unfortunately, I did not get them to Athena. Athena is the one who does all of our beautiful graphics, and she makes everything look pretty. I did not get them to her today before she went out to her prior commitment. And so it doesn't look as pretty as it usually looks, but it still works. And I promise you that Athena will get it done, and she'll put it up on the website. Now, if you want to access any of our one-page reference sheets, they're at our website, nomoreshameproject.com/downloadables. And you'll see a whole list of the downloadable one page. They're just one page, a quick and dirty reference for you. You don't have to sift through a bunch of information. It's an explanation for things and then some tips and strategies for coping. And those are for you. That's something that we've put together. You can download them, put them in a file folder, put them in a binder. Know that they're there. Come to them, see if there's something that can help you out. We've already had people tell us, I used those with my therapist, or I was having a hard time. I had to go to a family wedding this weekend, and I wanted to have some help. And so I printed off your one page on dealing with your family. It is awesome to see you using them, and we're so glad you're getting some use out of them, that they're helpful, and we're going to keep making one. Every week, for every topic, there'll be a one page there on the website. And so for those of you who are listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher, or if you're watching this on YouTube, know that that's where you can go. nomoreshameproject.com/downloadables. And there's a whole list of them. Just bring them up and choose which one you want and print it off on your printer. So let's take a look at this week's tips. Let's see. Now, there you go. You can see it. I know you can. Good. Again, it's not as pretty as it would usually be, but I promise Athena will come back and she will make it pretty. Okay, so there we go. Let's switch over to the PDF. That's much better, much bigger, much clearer for you to see. Oh, it didn't switch over. Okay, hang on with me. Let's stop sharing that. And come back. Isn't this fun? To watch me do this. There we go. Yay. Okay, here we go. The No More Shame Project Google Hangout one page for the lies our abuse tells us. And it says right there, when we suffer from abuse of any form, okay, so this doesn't apply just to childhood sexual abuse. If you are a survivor of verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, or neglect, you are going to have these lies present in your mind, present on your abuser's tongue. They're going to tell you these no matter what form of abuse. And that is common amongst a lot of the topics that we're going to share with you. You don't have to be a survivor of sexual abuse for these to apply. So we are often told lies by our abusers in order to convince us that what they're doing is okay, or they tell the lies to prevent us from telling others about our abuse. It is uncommon for an abuser not to do or say something to keep their victim quiet. Sometimes they will tell the child, this is your fault. You wanted this. I know you did. You seduced me. You made me do this. If you tell anyone, I'll tell them it's your fault. Now, even though as children we might not completely understand why it's our fault, believe me, we don't want anyone telling our parents that we did something bad that was our fault, even though we're not quite sure it was. So we're going to avoid that. There are, of course, more serious threats that are given, but in terms of lies, this is a big one. It's your fault. You made me do this. So if you tell, I'm going to tell everyone it wasn't my fault, it was yours. And then sometimes, because as children we're unable to make sense of the abuse and why it's happening, we come up with our own explanations. And I talked about this earlier. We have to think of a way, we have to come up with a way, even as children, to explain what's happening in our life. And unfortunately, those explanations, especially as children, aren't always logical. And they always favor the abuser. especially if abusers are family members who are supposed to love and protect us. And they always favor the abuser because we are dependent upon our abusers for protection and the provision of things such as safety and food and clothing. And if there's no way we can do that for ourselves, we have to be dependent on someone else. And when you're dependent on someone, you cannot survive believing that they are harming you or they're out to harm you. And so unfortunately, we grow up learning these lies. And when we're children, when we learn lies when we're children, they become deeply ingrained in us. They become part of our core belief system and how we interpret the world. Research shows us that most children's personalities and core belief systems are developed by the time they are 6 years old. So if your abuse occurred before you were 6, and it was more than one-time occurrence, so you heard these lies repeatedly, then chances are that these lies have become literally part of how you operate in the world. They're part of how you interpret what goes on in the world. They are rooted deeply inside of our minds, and that makes them very difficult to get rid of when we're adults. So they color our world. Each individual, we all interpret what goes on in the world through our own lens of reference. And when your lens of reference is filled with lies, that's how you will interpret the world. And so we've become adults. And as adults, we operate through that same lens. We see things through those same lies. And so what are the most prevalent lies? And I'll tell you how they would apply. These are some of the most prevalent lies our abuse tells us. The first one is that the abuse was our fault. Now, this is interesting because it is part of one of the primary diagnostic factors for post-traumatic stress disorder. And that is that what happened, the trauma that caused your PTSD, was your fault. And again, we learn this because either our abuser told us, or heaven forbid, sometimes an adult we go to try and report what's happening tells us it was our fault. It's not unusual. I hear clients tell me all the time when I ask them, or they tell me, I say, did you ever talk to anyone? Did you tell someone what was happening? And my client will say, yes, I went to my mother, and my mother told me it was my fault, that I must have made so-and-so angry. I must have upset them. I must have seduced them. What did I do to cause that to happen? And so you get two messages. One from someone who's supposed to protect you, that you reported your abuse from, one from your abuser, and now you have cemented in your mind that the abuse was your fault. And the next lie falls right in line with that one. The abuse happened because we are bad. Okay, now who is it our mind is going to say that causes bad things, like the things that are happening us, to happen? Well, only a bad person would do that. I mean, why would I wish to be hurt? Why would I wish to be struck? Why would I wish to be called the horrible things that I'm called? Why would I wish to be neglected and abandoned for 7, 8, 24 hours, 48 hours? If it's my fault, then I must be bad. And again, sometimes your abuser is going to tell you, you're bad. This is why it's happening. I have to punish you. You made me do this. I can remember being told that I was a whore, and that's all I was ever going to be. I was good for nothing other than being a whore. Well, that's a pretty powerful statement to give a child. And it's pretty hard when you hear things like that over and over and over again, not to internalize it, not to take that lie in and embrace it as the truth. And again, because this person who's telling this is more often than not a parent, a sibling, a grandparent who's supposed to be making us safe and providing us with truth and stability and protection. If they tell us this thing, we are almost programmed to believe that that must be right. So here we are as a child believing that the abuse was our fault and that the abuse happened because we are bad. And right after that comes the next lie. We deserved the abuse because we're bad. And this is a tie-in of the top two ones. The abuse was our fault. The abuse happened to us because we're bad. So we deserved the abuse. And the reason this is important is because when we go out into life as an adult and things happen to us that aren't necessarily good, we think the reason they happened is because we deserved it. Okay, so you go out, you do your best, you get a job that you enjoy, and all of a sudden the company is hit with some financial troubles and it has to be restructured. Well, then you lose your job. Now, in reality, that had nothing to do with you. That had to do with the fact that the company simply had to let some people go because they had financial difficulties. But because we internalized the lie that we deserve the abuse because we are bad, we now think as an adult, with that being part of our core belief system, that we deserve to be fired because we are bad. And that takes us down to the fourth lie. Abuse is a way that adults show their love to children, or abuse is an acceptable way for people to demonstrate their love to one another. Now, this is a big one. We talked about this a lot in chat because many people brought up the fact that as survivors of childhood sexual abuse, we often believe that our bodies, the use of our bodies, offering sex, sexual favors, are ways that we either can get attention and love, but we can also gain acceptance. I often have survivors talk to me about how when they were teenagers, when they were in their 20s, they were very sexually promiscuous. And that makes perfect sense to me because as children, we learned that sex was currency. For some survivors of childhood sexual abuse, their abuser was actually very kind to them when they were abusing them. Now, I know that that's an oxymoron. How can someone abuse you and be kind to you? It's not possible. But the abuser was verbally affectionate. Although they were sexually assaulting the child, they would stroke their hair, they would speak kindly to them, they would tell them that they loved them. And so children learned to tie together the giving of themselves, of their bodies, with being loved and being shown favor and being shown acceptance. So that then leads to, when they're an adult, using their body, using their sexuality to try and obtain the love and the acceptance they so desperately want. And again, remember that now as survivors, more often than not, we're believing that we're bad. Well, what do we do when we feel like we're bad? We want to prove that's not true. We want to show people that we're good, that we can be loved, that we do deserve to have good things. But unfortunately, because we've learned other lies, we don't know how to do that. So we're out, we're looking for someone. If I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I use sex as my currency to get love. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to uh, sleep with a man on a first date, and I'm going to think this is the way to get him to love me. Well, unfortunately, most of the time, that's not true. And then what happens? It's a vicious cycle because now I've had sex in order to get a man to like me, but he doesn't like me because of what I have done or who I have portrayed myself to be. And guess what? It cycles back to, oh, that man didn't like me because I'm bad. I deserved to have that happen to me because I'm bad. And it cycles around and it feeds the cycle. So we act inappropriately because we think that's the right thing to do. Bad things happen, and that just reinforces the fact that we're bad and we deserve bad things. It's That's one thing about recovery from childhood abuse, is that it is a vicious cycle. The more that we try to prove that we're not bad when we haven't really learned healthy ways to do that, it usually tends to blow up in our face, and then we end up just reinforcing the fact that we're bad, and then we feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And our PTSD gets worse, our depression gets worse, our anxiety gets higher, and we get more and more and more hopeless. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Because we are bad, we are incapable of creating any good things in our lives. And that's a lie that we believe because we were told that way from our abuser, or in our child's logic, in our child's mind, we think, okay, if I'm bad, I must be 100% bad. Therefore, I'm not even capable of making anything good. Now, remember that a child's thinking is very black and white. It's either 100% good or something's 100% bad. There's that, we're missing those shades of gray in between. So when we see ourselves as bad, we then see that it isn't even begin to be possible that we could create something good in our lives. And that's one thing that you often see in adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, is that black and white thinking, that inability to see the gray areas. And we carry that forward into our adulthood. And one of the things that I work really hard with survivors is to get them to see in that the different shades of gray that come in between. And it's really hard because they've never done that. They've never operated in the realms of gray, and it's scary. But again, it's one of those things where you just kind of put one foot into it and then step and step and step and see that it's not that terrible, experience that it's not that terrible. And eventually you'll be able to live in that gray area without a lot of distress. But we grow up thinking, okay, well, I could go to college, but I'm stupid. I'm never going to be able to graduate from college. I start lots of things, but I'm never able to finish them. I can't make friends. People don't like me. I'll never fit in. So I'm not going to go to college. So instead, I'll just take this, job over here, and I don't like it and I don't want to have it, but I'm not going to be able to get anything better in my life. So I'm just going to settle for less than. Or, I really want that perfect relationship with that partner who is going to love me and cherish me, and I'll do the same for them, and we'll have children, but I'll never find that because I'm not capable of creating that kind of relationship, and no one's ever going to love me that way. So I'll just settle for this person over here. That is so common. In fact, several years ago, when I was really struggling with a lot of shame, I have a master's degree, and yet I honestly considered going and getting a certificate in something like medical assisting, because I thought, I think I could be good at that, and it would be something that maybe I could finally get people's approval. and they would like me, and I could finally be successful at something. I could finally be worthy at something. And it was just that way of looking for, please, world, let me have a little bit of acceptance, a little bit of approval. I know I don't deserve it, but please, can I just have a little bit? And we're looking for that and we're seeking that, even if we have to settle for less than or go for less than, because we think that's all we deserve. And let's look at this last lie. Because we are bad, we will never be loved, accepted, or given any good thing. Well, we've already given up on the fact that we could ever create a good thing. Now we accept the fact or the lie that we will never be loved or accepted or given any good thing. So nothing will come from the world, from outside of us to us, that is a good thing. That is such a hopeless feeling. And more often than not, when survivors come to me, they are really feeling that hopelessness. And that makes sense, because when you carry all these lies around in the core of your being, no wonder you feel hopeless. You feel bad. You feel like you deserved the bad. You feel like every bad thing that's ever happened in your life is your fault. And you feel like it's never going to get any better, and you will never be loved, you will never be accepted. I talk about a hopeless place to be sitting in. And sometimes survivors, when they feel these things, they don't even realize that it ties back to their abuse. I often have survivors tell me that they have low self-esteem. Well, I'll ask them why. Well, I just didn't ever really have any good things happen to me, and I'm not really good at life. I'll ask them, what did you learn as a child? Well, and we go back and we backtrack in their lives, and we figure out that that belief that they're not worth anything, that they're not worthy. In fact, sometimes you even deal with a lot of self-loathing. I mean, a deep ingrained hatred of yourself. That's what it ties back to, is your abuse. So take a look, if you're a survivor, take a look at your core belief system. Try and peel back the layers to the core beliefs that you have about yourself and the world. And I bet that you can not only identify some of these lies, but you can now understand where they came from. And if we look at each one of these lies, we'll see that the common denominator among all of them is that we are bad. Abuse teaches us, tells us, lies to us that we are bad people. And we've been bad people since we were children. That is at the very core of our being. When we talk about core issues that survivors deal with, we talk about shame, guilt, pain, and we talk about a low self-esteem. The essence of our being is bad. So let's look at what do we do now to combat the lies and learn the truth. Now, those are a lot of lies to tackle. You can't tackle them all, and you'll spread yourself too thin. So tackle the core issue. We are bad. I am bad. That's the core issue that I want to tackle. But a lot of people, when they have a problem, maybe they have a bad habit they want to get rid of. I am an emotional eater. I will, when I'm stressed, when I'm upset, I'll eat, because food never lets me down, and food comforts me, and food is my friend in my darkest hour. So I will turn to food, and I do it time and time again. I can have periods of time where I don't do it, but I tend to fall back to it. I've fallen back into it time and time again. But it's hard to carve out the bad. But what I want you to do, instead of trying to carve out the bad, trying to carve out the lie, is instead to build up the truth. And what's the truth? The truth is that we are good. You are good. I am good. Every human being comes into this world. It is their birthright. Goodness is their birthright. We are all good people. Sometimes we make bad decisions. Sometimes we do bad things, but we're all at the core of our being actually good. And our birthright is to be loved. All of us deserve to be loved. We deserve good things. We didn't get them sometimes through no fault of our own, through the fault and the choices of the people who have harmed us. But that doesn't mean that we didn't deserve them. So the lie is, I'm bad. The truth is, I am good. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of acceptance. Okay? And instead of trying to carve out and excise that lie, what I want you to do is build up the evidence of the truth. And sometimes, let me come back and look at you again here. Here we are. Sometimes what I tell people, and I try and, let me see if you can see me. I say when you're first starting out as a survivor and you're tackling your lie, it feels like you have a pile this high of the things that prove that you're bad. Okay, and your pile of things that prove that you're good is like way down here. So start piling them up every day. Make a note in your head, or actually write on a piece of paper. I don't care what you do. Put Post-it notes on your wall. Whatever you got to do to start piling up your goods. So what happens today? Okay, my son told me he loved me. That's a good thing. I met a deadline for work. That's a good thing. I helped a friend who dropped all her books in the hallway. That's a good thing. I'm going to pile up every single good thing that I do, that someone tells me about myself. And I'm just going to let those, I'm going to take note of them starting to pile up. And I promise you that the more that you look for them, the more you will see them. And eventually, you're going to have a pile that's going to be higher than your bad pile. And this is going to get higher and higher and higher and higher. As human beings, we want proof. We want to see, we want that tangible proof that we're good. Just like when we were children, all the things that happened to us, our abuse to us was tangible proof that we're bad. So what do we need? We need tangible proof now that we're good. So start piling up your good pile. Sometimes I'll have people put a poster on their wall and start putting Post-it notes every day of the good things that happen to them, good things that are said to them about themselves, good things that happen in their lives. Because remember, we're thinking nothing good is ever going to happen to me because I'm bad and I don't deserve it. Well, okay, so maybe a friend takes you to the movies. That's a good thing, right? Because that must mean you're good, because someone wants to do something nice for you. Okay, I'm going to put that up here. I'm going to put that on my wall. And pretty soon, my wall is going to be covered with good things. My pile of good things is going to be up to here. Now I have tangible proof that I am a good person, that I am worthy. And that the next best method that we know of, Athena and I have put together to deal with those lies, to deal with the things that undermine you every single time, it's a 3-step process. See it, stop it, change it. Okay? Become aware of the lies that you believe and you tell yourself. It might take a while because those lies are so ingrained in who you are. They are so deeply rooted that they're automatic. They are literally set on autopilot. Become aware. Start to notice Take that one page, put it up on your wall. Remind yourself when things happen, am I doing that? Am I letting myself believe that that happened because I'm a bad person? Am I letting myself believe that I didn't get that contract because I'm a bad person and I don't deserve good things? Start to see the lies and how they operate in your life. When you see the lie, when you notice that you're telling yourself a lie, stop. Just interrupt yourself. Turn the tape off. I have a client who talks about old tapes from her childhood, and she talks about them like they're film. Now, I'm old enough to remember sitting around at family reunions and things, and my uncle hauling out the old projector, with the tape that goes whip, 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 whip when it comes undone. And we would all have to sit there and watch home movies of my aunts and uncles when they were, 4 and 5 years old, and us when we were 2 or 3 years old. And everybody would laugh and they think it was wonderful, and the kids would be bored and they can't wait for it to be done. But that is the way that her mind captured moments from her childhood. And so when something happened that triggered one of those lies, she would see the movie play inside her head. So what did she need to learn to do? She needed to learn to stop. Just stop the tape, just shut it off. And now, don't just stop. You can't do that because the lie is coming because it's meeting a need. And we can't just stop what we've been doing because that leaves an unfulfilled need. And when we have an unfulfilled need, we're going to reach for something to fill it. And it's going to go to the bad thing unless we change it and put in a good thing. Okay? So now we've seen it. We've learned to recognize the lie. We've learned to stop the lie. And now we need to put something good to meet the need. Okay, something bad happened to me. What I usually do is tell myself that bad thing happened because I'm bad. I lost that job. I lost that boyfriend. I lost that friendship. I'm not able to earn enough money to pay my bills every month because I'm bad. Okay, so I see the lie. Now I have to stop the lie. Okay, wait, that's not true. What is the truth? Now I tell myself the truth. I'm good. Sometimes bad things just happen. Or sometimes bad things happen because someone else made a bad choice. Okay. The economy was such that the accountant at the company I work was, mismanaging funds. And that's why I lost my job. It has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with the fact that I'm bad or deserving of bad things. It was somebody else's choices. It was the circumstances that came together at that time, and I was unlucky to be in the middle of them. But that doesn't mean I'm bad. So I saw the lie, I stopped the lie, and I told myself the truth. We've talked about support people before. When we talked about the lies and the problems that we have with family members, one of the things that we told you, that we suggested, is that you develop some safe people. And those safe people are going to be people that you go to for a reality check. Here's an excellent way to continue to use those safe people. So here comes the circumstance. Something bad happens to you. You get in a car accident. Okay? Accident. Through no fault of your own. You're in a car accident. And the immediate lie is, that was my fault. I caused it to happen. We catch ourselves. So wait a minute, that's not true. But I don't know. Maybe it is true because maybe I didn't slow down fast enough, or, maybe somehow I invited this bad thing into my life. Go to your safe people. Say, wait a minute, this happened to me today. What do you think? My head's trying to tell me that it was my fault. And I will bet that they will say to you, that wasn't your fault. It just happens. Sometimes things happen. That's why they're called accidents. Or they'll say, you know what? You had the right of way. that other person shouldn't have turned left in front of you, and they will give you the truth. Okay? So take that truth and let it reaffirm that you are good. That car accident is not an indicator of the fact that you're a bad person and you deserve bad things to happen. Instead, it's an indicator of the fact that circumstances came together or someone else made a poor decision. Okay? So see it, stop it, and change it. Those are the 3 powerful things to do when you have lies that are operating in your life. Okay? So try that. And also, instead of excising or trying to get rid of the lie, replace it with the truth and build that good pile. Do something every day to build your good pile. Okay? So those are the lies that we learn as a result of our abuse, and that's how we can cope with them. So real quick, I want to put up here ways that you can contact Miss Athena and I. Let's see here. It appears that I am not as adept this evening. Let's look at our weekly activities first. So every week, every Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and 2 a.m. in the UK. So let me just shout out to the people who are listening to us from the UK. We have listeners in the UK, in South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. I would imagine you're not listening to this live, you're watching it on YouTube. For our Twitter chats, after the chat, we have a transcript that's put up through the website Storify. And if you go to follow me, Truth is Hers, on Twitter, you'll see it every week. You can go through and read the transcript. But if you'd like to participate, Athena and I are there every Tuesday night on Twitter, along with our friend, best-selling author, Rachel Thompson. And the 3 of us do sex abuse chat. So use the hashtag sex abuse chat and follow along. You do not have to participate because Twitter is a public forum. So if people see you, people will see what you tweet. So don't think just because you use the hashtag that somehow it makes it private. It doesn't. So if you would like just to watch, that is perfectly fine. We have a lot of people who watch every week. And we know that because after Twitter chat is done, our inboxes flood full of direct messages from people who have comments or questions. So feel free to join us on Tuesday evenings for Twitter chat. It's a different topic each week, and we announce the topic ahead of time on Twitter. And then here we are on Wednesday evenings, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can watch live on our Google Plus page, or you can watch it live on our No More Shame Project YouTube channel. It's the same topic as our Twitter chat. Last night we talked about lies that our abuse tells us, and then we carry that over to continuing to talk about it on Wednesday nights. Next week, we're going to talk about the topic of dissociation. And we're going to talk about it, how it affects our life, how it helps us cope during our abuse, and then how it impacts our lives as adults. There's been some wonderful new research out lately about dissociation, and I'm eager to talk to you guys about that and help you learn how to cope with dissociation as an adult if it's something that you learned when you were a child being abused. So now let me see if I can find the handout on, there we go, how to connect with us. Let's do that one now. Here we go. Share. Okay. This is how to connect with Athena and I. And that's why we're here. The reason that Rachel and I initially started the Twitter chat, and the reason that Athena and I started these Google Hangouts, is to reach survivors. And we want you to connect with us. We want you to be in community with us. We have a fantastic community of survivors on Tuesday nights for our Twitter chats. Every week they come together, they encourage each other, they support each other, they share what they have gone through, they share what they continue to go through. And when that happens, they know that they are not alone. And that is a powerful thing for a survivor to know. Survivors tend to be riddled with shame because of their childhood abuse. But when they come together with other survivors, they learn they're not alone. That shame starts to die and it starts to go away. And when that shame goes away, you can start to do your recovery work. It's hard to do your recovery work when you carry a huge burden of shame, because your movement is restricted, your thoughts are restricted, your emotions are restricted. But once that shame starts to decrease and you can even put it down and walk away from it, you can focus on your recovery and have a much easier and much faster recovery. So reach out to us. We have private online support groups that we can plug you into. We have courses that we're putting together to offer. We have resources we can point you to, all sorts of ways that you can connect with our community of survivors. So reach out to us on Twitter. I'm going to read these because some people are listening to us on iTunes and Stitcher, and they don't have the benefit of this slide. So those of you who are watching, forgive me as I repeat myself here. So reach out to me. I'm Bobby Parrish at Truth is Hers. Athena is at Athena Moberg, Moberg. And then we have a joint account, which is the No More Shame Project, NMSPROJECT. You can email me at Bobby L. Parrish, one R, at gmail.com. And you can email Athena at athenamoberg.com. You can also reach out to us jointly at No More Shame Project at gmail.com. We have a Facebook page. Athena and I both have individual Facebook pages under our names. You are absolutely welcome to come in and friend us. We'll friend you back. And you can read what's going on in our private Facebook pages, or you can go to the No More Shame Project Facebook page, where you can find information about all the different things that we're doing under the project heading. We have 3 websites you can take a look at. Excuse me. The NoMoreShameProject.com website. I'm at BobbyParrish.com, and Athena is at AthenaMoberg.com. So you're more than welcome to use any of those resources to reach out to us. Leave us a comment on Google+. However you want to connect with us, we want to connect with you. That's why we're here. Together, between the two of us, Athena and I have more than 50 years of experience dealing with recovery and helping other survivors recover. Athena is a certified professional coach. I am a master's level therapist and a trauma recovery coach. I promise you that if you reach out to us, we can help you get plugged into resources that will help you with your recovery. And that's why we're here. That's why we do these things, because we want you to have the information that we didn't get in our recovery. We want you to be empowered to take control of your recovery. One of the things that we tend not to know as survivors is that we have power. Okay, and that's a lie that was told to us. You have no power. Well, as children, okay, we didn't really have a lot of power, but we have power now as adults, and we can claim our power. We can become educated about what trauma recovery is like. We can become educated on what things can we do to further our recovery. And then we can take charge of our recovery. We can make a plan. Athena and I both have, under our individual coaching practices, the service that we can offer where we can sit down with you one-on-one via Skype, and we can fill you in on what things you need to know about trauma recovery, identify where you are in the trauma recovery model, and help you come up with an action plan on how you're going to move forward to the next stages of trauma recovery. That's what it's all about. Know what's going on, figure out how you can make it better, and put those steps into action. So reach out to us, and we will be here next week at the same time. Next week, we're going to talk about dissociation. Again, if you're in crisis, if you've been triggered by anything that we've talked about tonight, if you need immediately help, reach out to RAINN, RAINN. You can contact them at 1-800-656-HOPE, HOPE, or you can chat with them live online at their website, rainn.org. And they're a fantastic resource. It's my absolute favorite to refer people to, and you can get in touch with them immediately and get the help that you need. So it looks like Athena wasn't able to get on with us tonight. She is unfortunately suffering in the island of Hawaii with a social engagement she couldn't break. We didn't get to see Maui through her windows today on our Google Hangout. You just get stuck seeing my wall and the door to my bathroom. So I'm so glad that you're here and that you gave me the honor of listening and watching and telling you about the lies that you probably believe and how you can get rid of them and stop feeling like you're bad, you deserve bad things, or you cause bad things to happen. None of that is true. So go out, start building up your good evidence, your good pile. Do your see it, stop it, change it, and we will see you again here next week. Good night, everybody.